Hi, Jamie with you again. I hope you're very well indeed. Well, mastering video 2, here we are. The Waves Abbey Road TG chain or mastering chain. Something that I'm pretty excited about after my work many years ago with Don Bartley at EMI Studios 301 in Sydney, Australia. Incidentally, this is my take on how I would subtly do some mastering for my track. So please don't assume you're going to see some big radical changes or sound movements. If you do want to hear that, I recommend downloading or having a look at some videos of other people trialing and really putting it through the ringer, I suppose. This video for me is little subtle touches, my approach of how I would do some small light corrections and some sidechain compression. So have a look at my track here, and incidentally, I'm not using the TG mastering chain for final limiting. I don't think that's its strength. Incidentally, back in the day, Don Bartley would use this beautiful, very early edition Abbey AD500 with its soft limiting included, which is a fantastic soft, warm, almost tape saturation type effect. So he would print that prior to going to CD in the 90s. Of course, now you could have a look at a unit like the or the plug-in like the Fab Filter Pro L2, fantastic box. You can do some colorized tonality in there and also very clean and high volume output limiting. But have a look at this. Okay, here we are with the TG mastering chain. As you can see, you can select to configure or position the modules to influence which adjustments you're making first. But look, I'm happy in this configuration. Incidentally, the tape or input section, really you can use it for adjusting some left-right input balance. I'm just adding a little bit of gain to my track here. Then I'm also utilizing predominantly some light EQ here. Now you can see I've got mid-side selected here, and also on the limiter I'm selecting mid-side, and on filters I'm selecting mid-side. So you'll notice the toggles above each channel section, which will expand and close. So I'm just going to hit play on a track of mine called Message to You and just talk you through some of the adjustments I've made. So as I said, the input here, I'll just add a little bit of gain. I'm having a look at my meters there. This is by no means a final 0 dB output. I'm just looking for a good starting position. I have had the spreader just widening my stereo image a little bit here. So that was a default setting. I've already played around with this obviously. But just guiding you through here, monitoring, you can obviously switch to mono, listen to the right or left channels independently. Listen to the side or left and right channel content, for example in this case guitars and cymbals, or listen to the middle or mid content, in this case the vocals, kick and snare, this sort of information. And the purpose of selecting mid and side in some of these settings, for example the limiter or the EQ, is to give you this independent control in mastering over those elements. It gives you a bit more power. It's a great feature to play with. So I'm going to switch back to stereo. I'm just going to dive straight into the limiter and pick up on the concept of sidechain compression. Now I'm just going to drop my mix levels here to 0. So that's ultimately no compression happening. Now I'm going to actually have a listen to my side channel content. So in this case, here is my side channel limiter. As I wind that in, you'll see that gain reduction starting to happen there. You've got a gain makeup here. Ratios, I just find what's comfortable. It seems to be quite nice. Just sitting here, not too busy, not too hard, not too pushed. Look, there's this modern setting. I've been using this. This is the original TG emulation. The modern is just a touch brighter or sparklier. Now I'm just going to switch to the mid information and just wind in here some of that limiting in my track. I'm just going to select the chorus and now just have a listen to that mid information. Just getting a balance there. Back to my mid information. Now I was also using a sidechain filter, like a filter that you can select to really narrow in on what you're compressing or limiting. So in this case, if I wanted to really tighten up a certain frequency, I could boost that and then listen to my compression, no compression, winding in what I'm limiting here, which will just add a little bit more punch. Of course it's focusing on that 100 Hertz in my filter setting here. The bell is quite a wide curve there. I think that's just a bit heavy. I quite like this as a very soft side chain limiting going on, so I'm never at 100%. I've seen other mastering engineers or people on YouTube just winding in and just going crazy, but I really like the concept of just subtly touching things in mastering. Now that I'm back into listening to the whole track, that's my side information compression or limiting, my mid information back to stereo. Over here to the tone section and just go into our mid side information. Now over here I'm actually just lifting the vocal bite or that vocal information, the diction, by boosting 1.45 kilohertz, which is quite musical. You'll find all these notches really very musical and clever. In this case I'm also boosting some 256 hertz to add a bit of body to the track. It felt a bit thin to me. In other cases people might like to reduce this frequency in mastering if there's an abundance of bottom end. Down here I'm boosting 90, 91. You can go a bit lower if you like, depending on what sort of shape and subsonics you'd like in the mix. So there's a little bit of highs here, a little bit of 16k adding there. Now I've listened to my side information. So here I've got a 3.25 kilohertz boost, almost 2 dB boost here. That is giving me a lift with the guitars. A bit more growl, a bit more bite. Incidentally, it's a bit of a mastering trick to boost some of these frequencies, because when rock songs like this go on air on radio, the limiters on radio will actually catch that bite and bring it back, bring your program material back to zero, therefore giving you the track that you want to hear without it being too altered. So that's a bit of an old mix mastering trick there. I'm also adding some air here, so I'm at 16 kilohertz high, and I'm not touching anything else here. So I'll go back to stereo, have a look at filters. So I'm not really touching anything here with the filters for the high end, the side information, for the low information, for the mid information should I say. 40 Hertz I've got it set to, and I'm just winding out almost a dB there. So as you can see, all of my adjustments are really quite small. Maybe the guitar boost is one of the largest amounts of gain. The vocal here in the mid information. That's a very slight adjustment. So I'll just go back to the chorus there. See that vocal just disappear with that frequency. And just come in a little bit more firmer there. That is my gain makeup on the bottom end. It just feels like I want to add just a bit more punch there. So I'm kind of comfortable where I'm at with this mix. I'm looking at my meters. I'm sort of going a bit over the top here in my digital audio workstation. I'm just using today Adobe Audition. Sometimes I use Wavelab, Nuendo. I'm not a Pro Tools user, believe it or not. But look, yeah, we could literally export our master from here. And there you have it. I'm quite comfortable, quite happy with that mastering. As I mentioned before, we could export from here, save that. But I would export with that volume down and not use this as a final limiter. Maybe the FabFilter Pro L2 plugin as an option is good for giving you that final gain. So there you have TG mastering chain as I would use it. Really light touches, very, very light touches with filtering if you need to just soften or round or tidy something up. Limiting, I'm not even at 50% compression on the side information and on my mid information. Minor tonal adjustments. Input only really used for input level. Switch to stereo, so that's fine. So a great little tonal box. I'll give you a quick little Abbey. We are flat. In. We are flat again. Very conservative mastering, but I don't want to destroy the mix. Nice subtle touches. That's my approach. That's also, as I recall, working with Don Bartley in mastering at Studio 301, to be not so heavy-handed with mastering, and yeah, take it very, very cautiously. Hopefully the mix that you're working with is good, and you're not remixing it, you're just doing slight soft corrections. So that's how I would use the TG mastering chain.